Hey everyone, Michael here once again with just another quick update. A few days ago, the running time for Solo: A Star Wars Story was released, and it's officially going to be clocking in at 2 hours and 15 minutes with credits. This puts it just 2 minutes ahead of Rogue One, which is 2 hours and 13 minutes, and 1 minute behind The Force Awakens, which was 2 hours and 16 minutes. I have to say, though, this running time is actually much longer than I was expecting and kind of hoping, to be honest. Just because, again, I mean, maybe this is just me resisting the idea of a Han Solo origin story in general, is that I feel like sort of the less said about his past, the better, which contradicts the entire premise of this movie, so you kind of have to go with that. But that being said, I feel like there shouldn't be a lot of elaborate backstory to him. If what they're trying to go for is just sort of more of a smaller scale Star Wars story, sort of the way Ant-Man was to the Marvel Universe, where it's just a small scale heist film. I'm not sure if they're going with that for Solo. It's kind of unclear the approach that they're taking, because on the one hand it sort of seems like this is a small-scale Star Wars story compared to like Rogue One or The Last Jedi or whatever. But at the same time, it is ticking all the boxes on the origin story of Solo, how he gets the Falcon, how he does the Kessel Run, how he meets Lando, how he meets Chewie. So I guess my concern is, why do you need 2 hours and 15 minutes to have a quick, fast-paced, small-scale sort of early adventure of Han Solo type of movie? If it's more of an origin story for him and it's a little bit more elaborate and a little bit more involved, then that makes a little bit more sense. But then that gets me worried about their entire approach to this, is that we shouldn't really get an origin story per se in terms of offering all these explanations about who Han Solo is. I feel like a little bit of mystery helps his character there. But I was really hoping, like, why can't we get a 90-minute, small, tight, fun adventure in the Star Wars movie? The Last Jedi was 2.5 hours, which puts it at the longest one of all time so far. If you look at the running time of all the Star Wars movies, they just keep getting longer and longer for the most part. A New Hope is 2 hours and 1 minute. Empire Strikes Back is 2 hours and 4 minutes. Return of the Jedi, 2 hours and 11 minutes. Phantom Menace, 2 hours and 60 minutes. Attack of the Clones, 2 hours and 22 minutes. And then Revenge of the Sith is 220. But anyway, they keep getting more and more drawn out. It's unfortunate with the episodic main saga. The storylines are so elaborate and so dense that you can't really go back to shorter films. They all have to be in that 2 hours and 15 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes range that every Star Wars film has been since Return of the Jedi, really. But I miss the days of like A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back. 2 hours and 1 minute, 2 hours and 4 minutes with credits. Kind of more simple stories. It would have been nice to get back to that eventually, because I feel like with the Benioff and Weiss films, they're most likely going to be Old Republic films. Those are going to be kind of long. And I feel like an Obi-Wan Kenobi side story, which we're probably going to be getting, hopefully, I feel like that would, okay, 2 hours and 15 minutes makes sense for that as well. Maybe it's just me, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm really hesitant towards longer movies these days. I don't know what happened to me, because I feel like when I was like really young, when I was like, 18, 19, or 21, I found it very easy to sit through like 2.5 hour or 3 hour movies. I was kind of like, hey, the longer the better, more epic, right? And now, I don't know, I feel like it should be the reverse, where as you get older, you get a little bit more patient. But I find it's very hard to get me in the mood to watch a long movie, even when I know it's going to be good, when I'm looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, so Solo: A Star Wars Story is going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes. Without anyone having seen the movie, all we can do is kind of judge prematurely. To me, that feels like a really long time for a sort of, lighthearted, smaller scale solo adventure. I think if I was sort of crafting this, I think my goal would be like, okay, let's get it under 2 hours. An hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours with credits. Unless they're really doubling down on like this is his backstory type of thing that's more biographical to sort of early days. And that, if that's the case, then that concerns me. So either way, I'm kind of I'm really wanting to look forward to this movie, but I feel like every time I learn something new about it, there's just a little bit of like negativity to it, which is unfortunate because the latest trailer did kind of change my mind a little bit. But anyway, it's not that big a deal. It's not like if it was 2.5 hours, I'd be like, what the hell are they doing? 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's in the ballpark of The Force Awakens and Rogue One, and maybe that was sort of what their model has been for these new movies, even though The Last Jedi is a bit of an exception. Anyway, feel free to leave your thoughts on this, and we'll see you next episode.